Welcome, everybody. Hopefully, you have already gotten to watch the videos that I posted yesterday, and you got to take a look at the readings I posted. If not, I do encourage you before you watch this video, kind of go back and read and watch those while we before we begin this lecture. But first off, I want to welcome you to the Entrepreneurship in Pharmacy course. As you know, my name's Dr. Rob Mayer, and I am going to be your professor throughout this semester, and hopefully you continue on with the concentration next. I have received a handful of your guys' schedules. If you haven't sent your schedules to me, please do so, because throughout this semester, if you looked in the syllabus, we are going to meet individually twice, and this is more to have introductions to each other, ask questions specifically to the course, and also talk about what your vision is in developing a business plan, which you'll be doing next semester, and that business plan will be for you to work on. Um, you know, throughout next semester, and I'll explain that more throughout the course. But the other thing is the ultimate goal of this course and next course is to find out whether or not that as you are pursuing where do I go into my pharmacy career is do I would I want to go into business for myself, and that does and one thing too I want to preface that this course a lot of times will focus on owning your own traditional independent community pharmacy. However, we've been doing this course for the last 5 years, that many times people have different ideas for pharmacy businesses and have pursued those also. Because what is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is something of somebody who wants to create, believe there is something that they can give to society with their skills. This quote from the late Steve Jobs is one of my favorite quotes, and it goes by like this: Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by the dogma which is living with the results of others' people thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice, and most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. One of the things that hopefully through this semester and next begin to explore to yourself: do I have what it takes to own my own business, to be my own boss, to create something that I can actually see and reap the rewards, not just financially but personally, and be able to help bring jobs to your community, to help patients in your community, to be a leader in your community. And so those are so many different aspects of what makes an entrepreneur. The next slide, and is another set of quotes, and I have about 4 or 5 quotes throughout this set of slides. But these are 2 quotes that I have kept with me since my high school graduation. And the first quote comes from late President Woodrow Wilson, and it talks about dreams. Because one of the things too, throughout these 2 semesters, you'll say to yourself, "Well, I'm thinking about all the loans I have. Will I be ever able to own my own business?" Well, if you don't develop the tools of how am I going to get to that dream, you're never going to do it, obviously. But there is the ability that you can. And I've had a couple people that have graduated in years past that are already successful entrepreneurs. And they had a dream. They were able to do that probably within about the first 5 years after being out of school. And so when you think about where will I be as an entrepreneur, the ability to do that can. And the quote on the left, or on your left, is, you grow great by dreams. And you always want to keep those internal. And one of the things we're going to do this semester is have you explored what is your idea for a business? What do you think might solve problems in pharmacy? What do you think is something somebody's willing to benefit from? The next quote from Jacob Neusner is a great quote because it basically says that much that you learn today won't be true 5 years from now. And many things you haven't heard today will be important or 5, 10 years ahead. And if I teach you something supposedly relevant, I'm guaranteeing irrelevance. And what I mean by that is business, healthcare, pharmacy is always evolving. And one of the things that we will do throughout this semester is that we will evolve, you know, teaching you the skills that you will be able to apply to any type of businesses that you are part of, whether you are owner of the business, whether you're a manager of the business. So this course is going to allow you to develop to hopefully maybe be your own entrepreneur and your own business owner. But the skills that I teach you will be life lesson skills that you'll be able to apply to any work situation. Once again, we try to figure out what actually is an entrepreneur. And there's many definitions of entrepreneurship that are out there. And we're going to talk today in this lecture about what are those characteristics. Most entrepreneurs have are initiative taking. They're proactive. They're not waiting for somebody else to evolve what should happen. They are taking advantage of what is the situation presenting to me. They are good at organizing and reorganizing based on the situations that are happening in their industry, in their community, in their internal business that they are a part of. Also, entrepreneurs are willing to accept the risk, or failure. If you read any successful entrepreneur, they've had hardships. I gave you the quote from Steve Jobs earlier. Steve Jobs actually was fired and let go from Apple and, left and started multiple companies. One of them was actually the company that soon would be Pixar from Disney. But then he came back and, revolutionized what Apple is today. Walt Disney went bankrupt multiple times. In fact, he was fired from his first job at a newspaper where he was fired because the boss said he didn't have creative ideas. So one of the things in terms of being an entrepreneur, you have to have the ability that I'm not always going to succeed. If you study what type of person is an entrepreneur, that is the person that, yeah, maybe I want to be successful all the times, but if I fail, I know how to get back up, if I fall. Entrepreneurs is the dynamic process of creating incremental wealth. What does that mean? Entrepreneurs create wealth by assuming major risks. And so when you take certain risks, you know, investing in your business, investing into a product or a service, that eventually that investment will grow by the growth of the business. You know, the other thing about entrepreneurship is that sometimes the business is not always something that it's new or unique, but you have identified a way to maybe re establish this type of business or this service, or you're able to allocate of how this service should look. And if you look at lots of different businesses, there's different businesses a lot of times. The grocery store business, the restaurant business, always different ways that people are taking traditional ideas and making them either unique or better, that people are willing to want to you know use that business or service. Where do entrepreneurs come from? A lot of entrepreneurs do come from, they are children of parents who had owned businesses, and that kind of just probably growing up in that environment. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs are actually immigrants. A lot of our successful entrepreneurs in the history of our country are people that came from, other countries coming to America. Our education level, obviously, the more education we have, the more successful, or previous job experience. And sometimes education level and job experience can equal. We see entrepreneurs, the highest group is in their 50s to 60s, probably due to, in the past, the ability of obtaining wealth. But in the era of, technology over the last 20 years, we've seen that lower group, grow. My family business, my father actually started, his pharmacy when he was 27. So there are ways to become an entrepreneur. What does make an entrepreneur successful? Well, that is skills that either you have internally already, or those are skills that we're going to bring out the best of you this semester and next. So, things such as a good planner, wanting to achieve, always having an optimistic outlook. You can have bad days, but most people that are successful are always looking at the glass half full, not half empty. Nurturing and compassionate, hard worker, willing to accept responsibility, and, you know, also identifying that if I'm going to have a business, for it to survive, I have to make money. And sometimes I have to make decisions based on what is the best way to do that. There's a this is probably the last one of the last quotes I'll give you, but entrepreneurship, I think, is something to understand that when you are going to go for this dream, in those early years, there's hard work. Just like currently right now, you are in the heart of, almost to the finish line of your pharmacy education, of your initial pharmacy education, and you've put a lot of work and sacrifice to be able to get there. An entrepreneur is very similar to that. And this quote goes, an entrepreneur is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. So, one of the traps that can happen in a couple years, you graduate, you're going to get paid very well, is that if you have this dream that you want to own your own business or develop your own business, maybe you don't go out and buy that brand new car right away, or you buy a house to help, develop some credit, but you don't buy the most, mega mansion right away, even though you possibly could afford it. Then maybe you sacrifice those initial sacrifices to save money to be able to, start that business. And maybe initially in that business, you go from working a 40-hour week to a 50 to 60-hour week, and eventually, though, as the business grows, you're able to take more time off. I can honestly say that the one thing that I've loved working in, you know, family owned independent companies is that there's never been a day that I've worked that I've actually felt that it was a job. I felt that I was part of something successful and being able to be, helping contribute to that. The question is, are entrepreneur companies relevant today? The answer is yes. All right. Because there is always room to grow, you know, different type of niches. One thing that independent pharmacists, in the next couple of slides, I'm going to use independent pharmacy as a reflection in entrepreneurship, is that, independent pharmacies have been able to survive against bigger chains by finding unique niches. Same with, grocers or, bookstores, the companies that have been able to survive have been able to do that. Years ago, when I attended my very first entrepreneur type of course, when I was in pharmacy school, I had a gentleman who was teaching me, who was a professor from the University of Tennessee Pharmacy School, and he quoted from this book by Michael Lee Booth, and it was the book on how to win and keep customers. And I'd love the two quotes that came out of this book. It says there's two things that all customers want from a business, from a service, from a product. They want to feel good and they want their problem solved. So when you're trying to think about what is my business, what is my niche, how does it answer those two questions? How does it help the customer feel good about some aspect in their life needing to be? How do we solve their problem? That is what makes a successful entrepreneur company, is one that can meet those two questions in their mission and vision statement. If you look at some facts about small business and whether entrepreneurship is still relevant today, U.S. small businesses employ about half of the nation's private workforce. Almost all firms with employees are small. They make up 99.7% of all employers nationally. I think we're always, enamored by the big, large corporations. They're the ones that make the headlines, the news. They're the ones that have the marketing power. But where the core of our country's businesses is in small business. Pennsylvania's small businesses employ about half, or 2.4 million, of the state's private workforce that's out there. The other thing too is a lot of times people think that independent pharmacy is a dying breed. it at one time in the 90s there was a significant drop off of independent pharmacy, but the strong prevailed. Those who figured out those niches, figured out how to be more efficient. And we have seen independent pharmacy kind of stay at its own course. There's probably somewhere around 23 to 24,000 independent pharmacies, throughout the country. If you take a look, Pennsylvania ranks in the top 5 states. And in the state of Pennsylvania, there's about 1,000 independent community pharmacies in Pennsylvania, which is almost equal to the number of chain pharmacies in Pennsylvania. This is just a map representation of where independent pharmacies are throughout the state. A lot of times, places where businesses are successful are in more rural areas, but not necessarily the case. You can also still be successful in a city or suburban like environment. Just a couple other sales facts from an independent pharmacy's perspective. Independent pharmacists dispense about 1.42 billion prescriptions annually. Prescription medicines are about 92% of annual sales, and that's one thing that some successful businesses have been able to do, is to figure out other niches, clinical service niches, to be able to do that. And you can read the facts there about the number of prescriptions, annual sales for that. Over 25% of independent owners have ownership in 2 or more pharmacies. And one thing too about owning your own business, you can determine what type of services you want. Do you want to have a large immunization business? Do you want to go into compounding? Do you want to do other things such as durable medical equipment? There's so many different areas of independent pharmacy, and entrepreneurship pharmacy that you can do. One of the things to share with you that entrepreneurs in independent pharmacy were the leaders in a lot of standards that we see today. Independent pharmacies were the first to develop companies to provide total parental nutrition to home health patients. Independent pharmacy were the very first pharmacies to actually be computerized in the late 70s. And also, independent pharmacy was the founder of what we have known as specialty pharmacy today. The further evolving of the world of pharmacy, and I talk about this in other courses like Pharmacy Practice 6, is that we're seeing that healthcare has shifted to this value-based payment system. And there is now, for the first time, opportunities, especially in the community sector, to develop service like type of pharmacy services that could be successful in business, that are MTM related, that are clinical service related. And so think about those when you're thinking about future businesses. The one thing too, if you're looking for a traditional independent pharmacy, there are opportunities. 50% of all independent owners are over the age of 50. And currently right now, unfortunately, we don't have enough females in this realm too, although that is growing. Though there are plenty of ways to possibly acquire an already existing pharmacy from somebody who's looking in the near future of maybe selling their pharmacy. And one of the things we'll do throughout this course is teach you the different ways you can financially purchase a pharmacy. Now, I talked a lot about how entrepreneurship can be rewarding, both personally, goal setting, but there is financial gain to this. And this is just taking a look at what you would make as a staff pharmacist. And one of the things happens in pharmacy is you come out and you make a great salary and you see different increments of maybe pay increases. But most of the time, the only way you're going to see increases in your salary is either A, you take your money and you invest it elsewhere, or B, you work your way up the corporate ladder in terms of management positions. The one thing about owning your own type of business is you have the ability to start with that base salary, but through successful business, you can almost double or triple your salary in owning your own business. One other thing aspect is, because you're on your boss, I did talk about how you have to be able to accept failure, but there is great job security. There's also great financial reward. There's freedom to practice your own way, to be your own boss. The other thing is, by owning your own business, you are part of that community. You are a leader of that community. You can help out with youth groups, churches, senior centers, healthcare providers. There's many opportunities that you can, grow, and the nice thing, you get to see the rewards of that growth. So, as you're thinking to yourself, do I have what it takes to become an entrepreneur? Let's look at some questions you should be asking yourself today and throughout the semester. What are my motivations behind becoming an entrepreneur? What are my true intentions and motivation? This needs to be strong, especially in the rough times. What is my dream? Because during those times when it might not seem like you're achieving, you have to have that optimistic outlook to get there. Do I have a personal vision? In order for things to go smoothly, our personal and professional lives need to be in comfortable alignment. Your business venture needs to incorporate what you love to do, what you enjoy, and who you are. Because if you pick those, it doesn't seem like a job. It seems like this is my passion. This is what I love to do. When you're making a conscious decision to become an entrepreneur, you need to make sure your personal vision has a place for that business and can make adjustments if need be. The other thing is, when you are looking to become an entrepreneur and own your own business, you want to think about, how will my family feel about me starting a business? How will my support circle feel about this? Because these are people that you are going to want to still be able to find time for, because they are the ones you love. But you also want to make sure that they can be part of that, and you can and support you in your actions. Do you have the right personality? Not everybody's capable of being a great entrepreneur. Great ideas and passion don't always equal successful entrepreneur. You know, there's always that question, are you born to be an entrepreneur, or do you develop it? And I think it's kind of a hybrid. I think there's a drive to want to be the best of who you are and have visions and organization skills, but those are things that can always get better. Your thinking ability, your communication ability, your technical ability, your human relations ability, your drive. I'm currently in my late 40s, and if I look back to the person of me, when I was in my 20s, when I was in pharmacy school, did I have all those skills? Absolutely not. Did I have some rough edges of possibly those skills? Yes. Did success of, attending different, lectures, doing extra work, readings on my own, wanting to learn things, help grow that? Absolutely. And life experiences also help do that too. Do I have a clear business idea? Ideas should be clear and well defined. And that is one thing we'll start to explore this semester and next semester, in trying to define, what are your concept of ideas? What do you want to do? What services and products do you want to be involved in? What are the advantages and benefits of the business you'll provide? What would you like to do for the rest of my life? When you think of your ideal work, what comes to mind? Was there something you always wanted to do but didn't get the chance to follow through? You will connect to your ideals this semester and next. And a lot of the assignments that we have are not labor intensive. I know you have other courses going on and this is an elective, but the assignments that I am going to give you is times to reflect of who you are and what do you want to do. Do you have the background experience for what you want to create? A lot of pharmacy entrepreneurs, where we lack is, we have great clinical pharmacy knowledge, we have great strong passion, we have great ideas, but do we actually have that business knowledge? That I will provide to you this semester and next, is what are those skills that I need to make success in my pharmacy idea business. Entrepreneurs focus on building a service oriented industry for clients. There's room for many innovators in the pharmacy industry. And so start thinking of your ideas. What do you see the idea of the pharmacy profession? And that can be both outpatient and inpatient. That can be both ambulatory care or long-term care. It's your idea. Think about, where could you have an impact in the pharmacy world? Because the niches is where the real opportunity lies within you. you know. And so ask yourself, as I said earlier, are you a self-starter? How do you feel about others? Can you be a leader? Can you take responsibility? Are you a good organizer? Can you make decisions? Can people trust what you say? Can you stick with it? And obviously, too, if you're going to pursue something like this, you want to make sure you are healthy to be able to do that. And a lot of these things, maybe they are rough around the edges. And that is what this course and next will do for you. Because how do you prepare for an entrepreneur independent pharmacy career? The purpose and development of this course in working with this, and there's numerous schools across the country that have implemented entrepreneur type of styles, is that this gives you an opportunity for you to learn some of the professional business skills that you need to be an entrepreneur. This allows you to read about and learn where to read about how to learn about entrepreneur methods and businesses. I encourage you, opportunities that if you get to go to, PPA, Pennsylvania Pharmacy Association, or NCPA, or anything local of an entrepreneurship, that is there. And then the other thing too is this course and next is designed to teach yourself to think big. Think about, what does my dream look like? Where do I look to see myself when I'm in, my 30s? What do I want to be doing with my pharmacy career? One of the things we'll do throughout this semester is go through the checklist of essentials that you need to be starting a new pharmacy business. And this is just a snapshot of things that might be needed in any type of pharmacy business. And we will go through, how do I get started and what do I need? There's many different paths to ownership of a business. Obviously, if it's a new type of business, starting, you know, a new practice from the ground up. We'll talk about the financial resources this semester and how do you get them, and where and how and what do I need to get them? What do I need in on personal finances? We'll talk about those who may be interested in purchasing a pharmacy practice from somebody else. And we'll talk about something what's called a junior partnership. Obviously, maybe some of you are coming from a family's business and teach you some of those skills that maybe you want to become the future of that family business. One of the things we'll also talk about this semester is financing. And, how do I get started up on capital? How do I evaluate a pharmacy business? What does it mean to break even? How do I get my business to be profitable? Those are things that, trust me, they may seem scary if you don't have a strong business background. I will walk you through those steps between now and next semester and give you the confidence to fill, especially in the financial arena. Finally, I leave you with a slide of some different sayings that come from the entrepreneur world. And hopefully, you've watched the videos that I posted, the mini videos of what it takes to be an independent pharmacy owner. What is the entrepreneur spirit? But, output should always exceed input. We have not fulfilled our obligation to the public if we fail. The old Nike saying, just go out and do it. Doing things in a simple way, regularly, never neglecting to do them. Success is doing the common things uncommonly well, which is one of my favorite sayings. That some of the most successful businesses are not necessarily revolutionary, but they're so customer service focused and they're so good at doing those common things uncommonly well. And then the other thing is, you will hopefully will learn this semester is, don't be afraid of failure. The ultimate goal of this course and next is for you to explore those things. Anyways, um, the last thing for you guys is that I want you to think about, um, um, you know, what do you want out of this class? All right. And so entrepreneurs focus on building service oriented industry for clients. There's room for many innovators. And so please also don't be hesitant to reach out to me if you have any questions, throughout this course. So hopefully you've gotten a chance to look over the syllabus. We are going to have online tape sessions just like today, online chat sessions, individual meetings. There will be oral and online presentations. And we're also going to be using technology to talk live through GoToMeeting and GoToTraining. And I posted that for you to review on the Blackboard. So, welcome to this course. I am thankful to have all of you here. I look forward to meeting each one of you individually and also as a group. And I promise that this will be a course that, although a lot of times we don't physically meet, I will be there to give you the material that you can use to help you become a successful entrepreneur someday, or at least explore this semester and maybe next that is this something that I want to do? And it's okay if you decide at the end of these courses that maybe this is not the path of my career. But the one thing that you can always say to yourself, I at least tried and explored this. If you take a look, I did put a reflective assignment that needs to be turned in by next Thursday. And this assignment is a reflective exercise to start thinking about what is an entrepreneur. Once again, I thank you for wanting to take this course. I look forward to working with all of you, and please don't hesitate to reach out. I can always be available by email, cell phone, and setting up, individual office times, whether it's through a conference call or personally meeting on campus. All right, and have a good weekend and Labor Day.